Hi, Stephen from OWNorDisown. Well, I'm excited to say that I've got a new 2021 Omen 15 with an RTX 3070 in-house. Now, this video is sponsored by, me. But I actually want to give it away to you guys. So there's going to be one lucky winner. And I've put the link to Gleam in the description below. Now, you've got to be 13 years or older. I'll pay to ship it anywhere in the United States. And it's your responsibility then to ship it to wherever you live. And also all the customs duties. Now, I can't emphasize this enough. In one of my previous giveaways, Tedwin let it stick over in India because it's like 42% duties there, and the customs took it. Very annoying. And this is, something I've bought, and I'd hate that to happen again. So please make sure you do your homework. So there you go. Now, to enter it, I'd say you just click on the link, and there's various different things there. Visit my YouTube channel, for instance. Now, you don't need to subscribe. At the end of the day, I only want people who watch my videos to subscribe. So if you're not interested in laptops, gaming laptops, don't subscribe, please, because it will hurt my channel if you unsubscribe. I've also put on there, visit our Discord channel, visit me on Patreon. You don't have to do a Patreon, although I've only got it as $1 a month. But anyway, if you do feel and you want to support my work, I certainly value that. Also, there's a couple of little puzzles on there. There's one where you got to sort of find the geek here, this little cartoon character. I'm going to embed him in this video, and you put in the time frame in the Gleam there. So if it's like 2 minutes 20 seconds, you put 0220. Also, there's another video which I've done. Actually, my favorite video of me reviewing a laptop bag, and I got my wife to carry it. You've got to find that video out and put in the Gleam question what its weight is in pounds. So each one of these gives you a new entry. It's a bit of fun, and of course you can refer a friend as well, get a few extra entries there. So anyway, good luck with that. And the drawing will take place on April the 17th. Now, I'm going to be traveling. I'm going to go to the UK because I've got a family member who's dying, and I need to get over there very shortly. So my next video will be doing a live stream on this. I'm going to try and aim to do that in a couple of days' time. And then when I'm over in the UK, I'll do a gaming video as well. So anyway, thank you very much for your support, and good luck to the winner. So actually, I bought this from Best Buy. So let's have a look at its specs there. So it's $1,700 on Best Buy. It's got the 6-core i7-10758 CPU, 16 gigabytes of RAM in dual channel. It's 2,933 megahertz and a 3070. Now it goes up to 100 watts. It's got 512 gigabyte SSD. That's pretty much it. But yeah, it's a nice laptop. It's $1,700. Now, of course, you can also go to HP and configure these things yourself. And of course, here they've got some different options. You've got a 6-core, a 10300H CPU 4-core option there with a 3060. Then you can have two 8-core options with 3060 or 3070, all the way up to 32 gigabytes of RAM. So, pricing wise, you're looking like $1,570 up to about just over $2,000, depending on the configuration you want to choose. Of course, you can go for either a 144 hertz panel or a 300 hertz panel, which mine has got a 300 hertz panel G-Sync, and it also got a muck switch, which is great. So you can switch between hybrid and dedicated GPU mode. Now, if you do configure it here through HP, the keyboard wise, you got option for, the base model will be a 1-zone Dragon Red, and my model has a 4-zone RGB backlit keyboard. And you can, if you go for the 8-core and the 3070, you can then spend a little bit extra and get a per key RGB. So the chassis is the same as it was last year. You have a plastic lid with a reflective blue Omen symbol here in the center, and underneath, it's plastic again, easy to get into, big air intakes, but the keyboard deck itself is actually made out of aluminium, so that's not too bad, and again, because it's black, it will show a few fingerprints, a few smudges, but it's not too bad at all. And the trackpad, it's It's a Synaptics trackpad, but it does use precision drivers, so that's pretty decent. I do quite like that. So the keys are island style keys, 26 key rollover, and mine actually has 4-zone RGB, but like I say, you can either have the red if you just go for the base model, or you can go for per key RGB if you go for the top end model. Now, one thing I didn't like, I remember on last year's model, it's the same here because it's the same chassis, is that the power button is embedded in with the rest of the keyboard. But over here, you don't have a number pad as you did on the original 15T, but you do have a calculator button, and you do have used to be the command center or whatever there. It opens up the gaming center software there. And of course, across the top here, you do have some air intakes, and the stereo speakers, of course, are Bang & Olufsen. So looking inside, it looks exactly the same as it did last year's model, the Intel model anyhow, because the Intel model last year also had a soldered-on Wi-Fi card, while the AMD model had a slotted version. So here you have the 70 watt-hour battery, and either side you do have the two M.2 slots, and either side of that you have the stereo speakers. Of course, dual channel RAM, it's always good. The fans are nice and big, but it's exactly the same. You got the 3 heat pipes and the 3 heat sinks there. Now the screen, one big issue of it last time was, of course, there's a fair bit of flex to it, and that's still the same here. Now, of course, you don't have the central hinge that we used to have, but it's very thin material, and that is one criticism I must say. But you do still have space up here for the webcam at the top. So as for the ports on the left hand side, you've got the power connector, you've got the Ethernet jack, you have a USB Type A, HDMI 2.0A, a combo headphone mic jack, and the SD card reader. And then on the right hand side, you have looks like a Thunderbolt port, which is great. Then you've got the mini display port, and then at the back, 2 USB Type A ports. That is good. At least it keeps that away from your mouse hand. So the software is now called the Gaming Hub, and of course it shows you the system vitals, the percentage of usages, the temperatures, so forth. You can also undervolt, which is great. You can either do it intelligent, which means of course they can do it automatically themselves, or you can do it custom. And in the performance control, you got balanced and performance mode, and fan control, you got max, auto, or manual, where you can switch just between low and high. And I think that controls the fans for both, the CPU and the GPU, and it shows you the speed here. And also you've got a mux switch, so you've got discrete or hybrid. Excellent. I'm glad they've included that. So let's see how it performs then. So here we have Far Cry New Dawn ultra settings, using the balanced profile. So the CPU goes up to around about 87 degrees occasionally. The GPU there is about 66 degrees, so that's not too bad at all. The power, the CPU is about alternating a lot, 39 to 65 watts. There's not much extra power going to the GPU, which is running around about 60, say 66 to 75 watts. GPU utilization is not bad, about 90 to 98% there, so that's not so bad. So let's switch to high performance and see what difference that makes. Now I can immediately hear the fans do pick up in speed, and but what is strange, the FPS does fluctuate an awful lot. It's jumping from like 106 down to 54. This is using performance mode, and consequently, I do see generally better performance when doing balance mode, when doing the game testing that I've done so far. The GPU power goes up to about 82 watts. The CPU's jumping all over the place, 28 watts all the way up to about 60 watts or so, but that, it's pretty unstable. Now looking at the performance chart, using the inbuilt benchmark on Far Cry New Dawn, we get an average of 84 FPS, and that was actually the same on balanced or performance mode. And it's actually slightly ahead of the RTX 2060, which is a little bit worrying, but it is ahead of the Zephyr's G15 and the Dash F15, which both use a 3070. But no, those are using Optimus, Whilst here, of course, I'm in dedicated GPU mode. And perhaps more worryingly is it is behind the RTX 3060 in the Gigabyte G5. And what strikes me here is that this game in particular is perhaps not that well suited for Dynamic Boost 2.0 because it struggles to send extra power to the GPU. So now we've got Assassin's Creed Valhalla using ultra high settings. This is performance mode, and we're looking on about 93 FPS at this scene. This CPU is about 89 degrees. It does you do get a lot of fluctuations, of course, like before. And the CPU is about 55 watts, but it does allow the GPU to push up to that 100-watt mark, which is great. And they've got a nice boost clock and a good GPU utilization. So this game does perform much better than Far Cry does. So let's switch to balance mode. So in balance mode, first thing you notice, the CPU and the GPU are much cooler. Definitely the power profile to use. Frame rate seems to be pretty well untouched. And the power, of course, of the CPU is around about 21 watts. So that's gone down quite a bit. And the extra power has, of course, still going to the RTX 3070, which still touches around about 100 watts at times. So this is definitely a good way to go. So in CPU only work, you're running Cinebench R20 here. The PL1 and balance mode is 45 watts and 107 watts PL2. It's settling in around about 35 watts. And the temperatures, of course, pretty low then, at about 54, 55 degrees. And the clock rate about 2,700 megahertz. So let's see what it's like in performance mode. So now switching to performance mode, the PL1 has actually gone up to 75 watts, but it's still only using 35 watts. So that's strange. Perhaps an undervolt will help it. Consequently, the temperatures are around about the same as before on balance mode. The clock rate is still the same, 2,700 megahertz. So that is a shame. I'll have to try it with an undervolt. And let's see what score we get here. You only get 1,784 points, so that's very low for an i7 6-core CPU. So what do I think of it? Well, I like it. I liked it last year. I like it now. And of course, it was one of the most popular laptops last year. It's got a subtle design. Fit into most environments. Now the panel, of course, it's a little bit has that same flex as it did last year, of course, but it's a 300 hertz panel. Sort of step that up. It's very nice, and of course, this has G-Sync and a mux switch. So there's some good things that I like about it there. In terms of its performance, I'm running BIOS F03, and I can't see an updated BIOS on there. So I'm at a bit of a puzzle why the CPU and CPU only work doesn't boost past that 2,700 megahertz. I'm going to try, of course, do an undervolt and see if we can fix that. But I suspect a BIOS update will be in the works, and that will fix that for sure. Gaming performance was okay. It was pretty much on par where we thought. I think Assassin's Creed Valhalla shows where the true performance lies. And in that regard, it was slightly ahead of the 2070 Super, which is very good. Of course, that's in dedicated GPU mode. And of course, switch to hybrid mode, and you'll get better battery life. And with a 70 watt hour battery, I suspect you probably still get a good 5 or 6, possibly 6 hours, of course, the Ryzen models will last even longer still. So anyway, I hope you found that useful. If it's something that you're thinking of buying, and if it is, remember, like and subscribe, and good luck to the competition, whoever wins this gorgeous machine. Thank you now. Bye.